Hi knitters, welcome to episode 139 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I am your host, Devin Ventry. You can find me online at KnittyMcPurly.com. I am Knitty McPurly on Instagram, and if you would like to email me, I am Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. Welcome. Thank you for coming. If you're new, subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. If you're not new, still do those things. Welcome. Happy Sunday. It is a gorgeous day here. It's going to be like upper 80s and sunny. And my kids and I are headed to the pool later, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good day. I've got my knitting. I'm excited. If you recall, last week we had sorry, this got dust on it. All right. We had a giveaway for the Japanese Knitting Stitch Bible. And many of you entered to win this giveaway. And the winner is Andrea Bush, 1742. Congratulations, Andrea. I feel like in Andrea's comment, she said that she was new here. So last week, I got a ton of watchers, a lot of new watchers. And I don't know if that's because you found me being mentioned on other knitting podcasts or if YouTube just showed you my podcast. How did you guys find me? Because I have no idea how YouTube works. It's some kind of witchcraft and magic that causes it to show videos to us. I don't know why. But anyway, subscribe and leave me a comment and tell me how you found me if you're new. I have a million things to talk about today. The first thing I want to say is check out this mug from Tennessee. So it started out back in January. Some knitters gave me some mugs with their state on them. And then once I had a couple of those, I was like, well, now I need all 50 states. And the more people watch and recognize that their state is not being represented. And they're like, oh my gosh, Devin, I have to send you a mug. So thank you so much. But who sent this to me? A couple people have asked for my mailing address, and so I'm not sure. Flo, was this Flo? Did you send this to me, Flo? Flo's from Tennessee, I think. But it is so pretty. It is so me, too. Like, you really encapsulated all of my colors and the rainbows, and it's just, I love it so much. So thank you so much. Tennessee is now in the group of mugs that Devin has. I have Arkansas and South Dakota, Texas, Florida, Colorado, what am I missing? Washington. Is that it? I don't know. I gotta think. I'm gonna feel bad if I missed any. But thank you so much for Tennessee. And then Amy from Michigan sent me this one. Look at that. I love this kind because I get so much information. So Michigan is weird because it has the state and then it has another part that sits up here with Canada. I wonder how the Michiganders feel about each other. Like, is there like, oh, we're part of Canada, so we're a little bit better, or we're in the mitten, so we're better? I don't know. I don't know how Michiganders feel about each other, but it's the Wolverine state. Who knew? And then we have Detroit here. They put that, it got its own side. There's a skyline, I guess. Cool. I was in Detroit one time for a wedding. I don't really remember it, but she sent me all this other cool Michigan stuff, which I have had to keep away from my kids because I'm like, look, I need to show it on the podcast and then you can eat it. Better Made barbecue flavor potato chips from Michigan. We Be Jammin' Cherry Bomb. Tart and sweet cherry preserves. Oh my gosh, I'm not sharing that. Sorry, kids. Lavender Blossom Soap. Be Joyful. That is so cute. Always be joyful from 1 Thessalonians. That's good advice. It smells so good. I love lavender. Lavender is such a great smell. And then this is the thing that I had the hardest time resisting. Sanders Small Batch Dark Chocolate Sea Salt Caramels. This box came a few days ago. Amy, thank you so much. I have a draft of a thank you coming your way that I have not yet sent. but I really, really appreciated it. That was so, so nice. Amy and the lovely Tennessean, thank you so much. If your state is not represented and you feel like I need a state mug with your state on it, send me an email. I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Progress and shop news. Okay, fun things are happening in the shop. So, were you in on the Barbie versus Oppenheimer weekend? Did you go to see one of those movies? So, I actually have seen neither of them, sadly. Here's a little fun fact. I love going to the movies. I love it. I would go every week if there was something that I wanted to see. And even if there wasn't, I still would probably go because I love going to the movies. But my husband hates going to the movies. To him, it's like it's overpriced and he's not at his house and, you know, he can't bring his laptop and be on his laptop and watch the movie. So he doesn't like going. But Oppenheimer is my number one favorite kind of movie, like long political thriller drama, probably so obscure that you have to watch it several times before you actually know what's happening. I will get to yarn, I promise. This is all going somewhere. Like my favorite movie is probably The Good Shepherd. I don't know if you've seen that movie. It's got Matt Damon in it, and it's about the formation of, it's either the FBI or the CIA. It's been so long, I can't remember since I've seen it. It's about the formation of that and the Bay of Pigs invasion. And it's just, anyway, I super wanted to see Oppenheimer. We're big Barbie fans at our house, mainly Charlotte. But I really have no interest in the Barbie movie. I've heard mixed reviews about it. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. Whatever. I really am just not interested. But I found, and I kind of found this after I dyed it, that August's color of the month has some major, major Barbie vibes happening, right? It's total Barbie. So here it is on Frankfurt Fingering, and this is, it has Fontaine and it has a Meadow Speckle, but the other colors in it are not in the tome of Knitty McPurly colors because I really wanted to embrace summer. That was the goal. The goal for the color of the month was to embrace summer. And I feel like I've done that. I set out with the goal of watermelon by the pool, and I ended up with something that felt very Barbie, but that was also kind of timely. So some of you love it. Like, you're just like, oh my gosh, I have been waiting for something like this. And other people are kind of like, you know, they're more on that fall train, which I get. Once I read through your comments from last week, you guys are from all over. Those of you from Montana are like, bring it on. I am all in for the winter knitting. But I have watchers from Florida and Puerto Rico and Texas, and you're like, yeah, I almost never knit anything with sleeves, and definitely not out of wool because it would just be too hot. So anyway, the color, this is August color of the month. It is fully embracing the last month of summer. So I hope you like it and you can go check that out if you're interested. Now, I did have some random dye left over, not from the color of the month, but just from a lot of things that I've been doing lately. I just had these random dye pots. And so I thought I'm gonna make one pot. So there's not a lot of it. It might even be sold out right now. I don't know. One pot of some Frankfurt Fingering, and I just went crazy with the dye and I got this. Isn't it cool? Like, it turned out super duper fall. But there's not much left. There might be a skein or two of it left. If you're interested, you can go check that out. But next month is September, and I will be embracing all of the fall vibes then. But until then, let's have our watermelon by the pool. Okay, also the Shopiversary colors, which are now, they look so muted after that one, that last one. Those are in the shop too. I have it in Dubrovnik DK, I'm sorry, Kiev DK and Frankfurt Fingering. Those are all available in the shop right now. Go check them out if you are interested in that. Let's talk for just a minute about the sock rulers, because of everything that I've ever done, like ever, I think the sock rulers have been your favorite thing. And they sold out in a hot second the last time I had them. And I get messages all the time. When are you going to get the sock rulers back? The sock rulers, when are they coming back? I need a sock ruler. I missed out on the sock rulers. These will be in the shop on August 25th. I will put them up that day. I don't know what time. Don't worry about it. There's enough that as long as you're there that day, you'll get one. But those will be back on that day. Friday, it's a Friday, and that's my newsletter day. So be sure you're signed up for the newsletter so that you don't forget. But those are coming back then. All right. Yeah, so the reason I'm putting it out a little bit is because this is kind of my vacation. Like I've got a week where we're doing a lot of dentist appointments and stuff next week, but after that we're going out of town. So the week of the 13th through the 20th, the shop will be completely down. Any orders that you place, I will fill when I get back the week after that. You can always get patterns, of course. Those are digitally given to you in your email. So you can always get those. And I will be available on email. You can always email me, but that's the situation. Okay. I got lots of comments about the Molly sweater that I am working on right now. If you missed last week, I'm working on a Molly sweater. Molly is a pattern that I published back in 2019, and I wanted to make it in my own yarn, and I wanted to do something kind of different with it. So it's a fingering weight pattern, but I'm knitting it in Surrey silk, which is a lace weight yarn, but it's very fuzzy, and all of that fuzz made it so I did not need to change the needle size to get gauge. I tried because I thought, I'm probably going to need to change the needle size to get gauge, but I did not have to. I got gauge. I got a couple projects in here, so I got needles sticking to it. So last time I showed you this, it was not joined, and now it is joined under the arms, and I am just cruising right along through. So I mentioned that I wasn't sure what I was going to do about the sleeves, but the more I think about it, I think it needs long sleeves, like all the way, like mid-hand sleeves. I think that would be really nice. So tank top, because it's going to be see-through, and that long sleeve sweater, I feel like it's going to be just enough when it's like 60 degrees outside. It'll be warm, but not too warm. Anyway, that's been a lot of fun. At this point, it's just going around and around, and there's a lace panel in the front and one in the back that is super, super easy to work. Okay. Let's do crocheting with Gigi. So before I started filming this, Gigi came in and we filmed a little crocheting with Gigi segment. We're going to talk about my sloth yarn bowl. I got it at Hobby Lobby, and I also got this because I just had to have it. I feel so relaxed. I thought that this would be super comfy because it's got like dents on the inside. And so I thought this is going to be really comfy. But the thing about sleeping, it's a little too puffy to sleep on. I find that it's annoying, but it looks good on the podcast. And it might be nice like in the car, if I wanted to take a nap in the car. I love sleeping. So, anyway, here is crocheting with Gigi.
Okay, you have to say something to start this.
Okay, so this is the camera right
here.
Right.
If you look at yourself, you look weird.
You look weird.
I feel like we go over this every time I'm here. You're like, stop looking weird. Fix your face. All right. I have embarked.
Welcome to Crocheting with Gigi.
I get my own segment. I'm so happy. I don't
Show
see my
us.
sister's getting segments. All right, so I embarked on a new project. This has taken me about 4 days to get this far. It's a granny square blanket, and I have 18 of them so far.
What?
Wait, is this the front? Yes.
Okay.
So it's a little flower, and it's currently I have 18 stitched together. They're going to be 42 in total. Wow. It's going to be huge.
So this is the Cozy Days Daisy Blanket by All About Amy, whose name is not Amy.
Really?
Her name is Stephanie. Mm-hmm.
Why would you make her name Amy?
I don't know. We don't get it.
either.
But Gigi was talking about, so this is how the edges look. And she was talking about, picking up a border.
Border would be good.
Yeah. But, there's a lot of people who watch who make a lot of blankets. So maybe someone will have a suggestion.
Yeah. Any suggestions?
What I would do, as someone who knows almost nothing, is I would just do like a single crochet all the way around.
That sounds absolutely terrible.
I thought you were going to say it was good.
Aw, it's okay.
Okay.
All right, so the rest of them are still in flower form.
Wow.
I made these all yesterday.
That's crazy. Well, it's pretty quick. This is also, I think, super bulky. It's super
bulky.
So they go really quick.
I think it's just bulky.
Just so cute. These would make cute coasters, wouldn't they?
They would, yeah.
We flattened them out a little
Iron
bit.
it.
Let me see
Yeah,
real
you do have
quick.
to iron these after, but you can't put the iron on it or else something bad will happen. You just have to like steam it.
Something bad will happen.
I was told.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Cute coaster.
They would.
What if we made different colors, like made the center pink and like
then
blue?
did like a set of 4 as gifts for grandparents?
Just did something right there. All right. Yeah, these would be great.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
All right. I might be a little sick of making them though.
Well, and Gigi got this far, and then we had to go back to Hobby Lobby to get more yarn.
More yarn.
And while you're here, do you want to tell the story about this?
So we were walking through the aisle to leave Hobby Lobby because we had all the
our
stuff
way
we
out.
need. We're on our way out. We were like, oh, we need something for Charlotte, so we grabbed a cute craft. We turned around, and here was a sloth bowl.
It's a yarn bowl.
Okay, so
that's a sloth.
this is actually the green I have.
Yes.
You put the yarn through there, and then it doesn't roll away.
Oh
so
my
cute.
gosh. So I was like,
I want to name him
that's
Friedrich.
really cute.
Not
And
Frederick. Friedrich, because he's Austrian. Oh.
So Gigi just picks him up and she kind of looks at me and she just puts him in the car.
Yeah, I just looked at him like.
And then we kept going. We didn't discuss it. We just, he just came home with
Just
us.
a look of agreement. Just
He needs to come home
for the
with
best. Yeah, sorry, I've been looking at myself. Nope, it's bad.
Don't look at yourself.
Nope, that looks weird.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Gigi. Gigi and I always have a really good time. It's always fun if Gigi's around. Okay, let's go on to the comments. Many of you commented that you appreciate having no ads on the podcast. Me too. A lot of you, though, pay for YouTube Premium. Who knew that was even a thing? And so with that, they never show you ads, and that's pretty nice. I like that a lot. Yeah, so I don't intend to include ads. I just don't like them, and I'm just not ceding that ground. One sad thing in my life is that the dog sitting fell through. I was so bummed. My friend was able to get somebody to stay at their house, and that person could watch the house and the dog, and it's a lot less stress for the dog. Like a lot less, because it would have been stressful for her to be here, but I was sad. But anyway, I had a free weekend. And my kids were like, can we do this? I'm like, sure, I got a free weekend. Like, it was really nice. Colleen, the Selfish Knitter, says, I appreciate that you have weekly episodes and without ads. I'm very excited to hear about the things that you aren't ready to talk about yet because you didn't want us to get excited. Seriously, why did I say anything? I should have said nothing, because you guys are like kids. Like, this is like, if I'm taking my kids somewhere fun, I don't tell them about it until we're getting in the car. This, I think, is the tactic that I need to take with knitters. I got emails, you guys. Is it this? Is it this? What's it going to be? I'm so excited. Rookie mistake. I should have just kept my mouth shut. Jen G5 says, I very much appreciate no ads. I live in an area where my internet data is limited, so it's not fun to waste it on ads. Good point. I look forward to your Sunday podcast. Your cheerful personality and positivity are a blessing and a joy. Thank you so much, Jen. And I just love learning some random fact or word origin. Me too. I Kitchener my socks all the time, and I never thought about it. So fun to learn new things. Thanks for a fun and relaxing knit time while I watch your podcast. Awesome. Nancy Morgan 5505 said, the Finchley graft is a good alternative for the Kitchener stitch. The Chili Dog has a good tutorial for it, and the ladies on Knits and Pieces podcast recommend using it. Interesting, the Finchley graft. If I had had more time today, I would have looked that up and tried it. I kind of ran out of time, but I'm interested. Maybe we'll talk about that next week, because I would love to know alternatives to the Kitchener. if for no other reason than the concentration camp thing, because that was pretty dirtbaggy. Like, what were you thinking? Although now I need to know about Finchley. What did this guy do? Did he do anything bad? If he did, well, the knitters are going to find out about it. Grace Fernandez says, can confirm the freezer trick definitely works. Okay, Grace, it is on you. You are the person who has said we can do it. I expressed a little skepticism last week about putting your knitting in the freezer if you have to rip it out, because someone said that if you need to rip out mohair or something fuzzy, putting it in the freezer will make it easier. Many of you commented on that. Like, maybe it's because of this, or maybe it's because of this. But I definitely got more than just Grace, people saying, I've tried it and it does work. But could it have been a placebo? Could you just have thought it worked because you did something? Am I being too skeptical? I don't know, maybe. Catardiff4158 says, I bought your advent calendar right when they launched, hoping to make a set of accessories for my other daughter, as big sister got them last year and loves them. This brings up a good point. You know, in the background, some of the knitting that I do that I can't talk about on the podcast has to do with the advent calendar. And oh my gosh, is it amazing. We are knitting ornaments this year. If you bought an advent calendar, there aren't any left. I'm sorry, they're done, they're gone. But these are small toys, essentially, that we're knitting, that we're going to make as ornaments to hang on the tree. You don't have to. You could just keep them as little toys if you want. But if you're a person that's not really interested in making toys, a good project that you could make that Kat Ardiff, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're getting at here. I don't know how to pronounce it. That she's suggesting is making last year's Advent project, which was a pair of mittens, a hat, and a cowl. And those are free patterns on my website. If you go to my website and you click free patterns, they're all there. They're the gumdrop, mittens, hat, and cowl. And you could definitely use your this year's Advent calendar because it's the same yarn. You can use that to make those if you're not interested in making toys or ornaments. Of course, you can make whatever you want, but it's just nice to have some options. Diane Golderman says, I'm in Texas and it's about 107 here. Oh my gosh. I'm ready to start my Christmas knitting, but also saying goodbye to my summer knits. But I've got to knit a pattern from Jessie Made. I think it's called something about my lines. I have the pattern and it keeps calling to me. I give most of my knits away, but I'd really like this summer tea for me. You know, when Jessie Made first started designing, trying to remember what it was called. It was a bralette that I made and I didn't finish it. I think because I put it on and it didn't really look good, I just didn't finish it. But I really like her patterns. One thing about it, the Ripple Bralette, that's what it was called. One thing is that she updates these things all the time. I'm constantly getting an update. So she's always going over her patterns and she just has a lot of really good basics. And I like her patterns manage to be conversational without having too many words. Like if a pattern is too conversational, then you lose the pattern in the weeds of all the words. But hers manages to be kind of friendly without, with keeping the simplicity of the pattern. So I really liked it. I also messaged her at one point, years ago, and I said, I really like this. And she responded saying, oh, great, I'm so glad. Like, anyway, I have a positive view of her. I don't know much about her, but what I do know is positive. And yeah, you guys are from all over. It's so cool to hear what you're working on. Sharon said, I appreciate that your videos are ad-free. Drives me nuts when I'm watching a podcast and an ad comes on mid-sentence, especially if I'm cooking and don't have a free hand to skip it, or dyeing yarn. Do you know how often I am like, I've got my rubber gloves on and an ad comes on and I'm like trying to like push it with my nose. Like, I don't want to see the ad. Okay, Sharon has a comment about lifelines and stitch markers, and I am going to try and get to the bottom of it because I just don't understand. Sharon says, if you go through the stitch markers with your lifeline, the markers will be stuck on that row and can't move up your knitting as you knit the rows above. But isn't the point of the lifeline that you're ripping back to it? You've ripped back to the lifeline, and so that's where your needle goes through, right? And so your needle would go through the stitches and the stitch markers. I don't know. I feel like I'm not understanding it, but she says, so that while that would keep them there in case you have to rip out to that row, you'd have to use another set of markers for subsequent rows. Because the markers aren't through the knitting, they're between the stitches, right? They're just, the lifeline goes through them. I've never done it, so I don't know. Okay. I have a lot of comments today, and they are so good that I just want to get through them because they're just so good. Kat Tardiff, she had another comment. She said, I have 4 Addy interchangeable needle sets, olive, rocket, turbo, and squares, and they all come with SOS cables with slits that open up so you can put in your lifeline. Pearl cotton fits just fine and is my favorite. Well, that's really interesting. I've never tried Addy interchangeables. I have the Chow Goose and the Leica, those ones, and the Knit Picks ones. Chow Goose are my favorite. I'm kind of a Chow Goo devotee. I really like them, but that's really cool about Addy. I guess if you wanted to do a lot of lace knitting, it would be good to have those. Nick Naiman says, it is so hot where I am in southern Indiana. I have been full on summer knitting lately, but suddenly I am really craving knitting a sweater. That light is changing. I don't even understand it. LOL. I honestly think it's because my kids have started their football practices, so it feels like I should be in a fall mindset. That is everything. Like for me, because we haven't gone to the beach yet, we're going to the beach. That means it's still summer. When we get back from the beach and school starts, then it will be time for pencils and pumpkin spice lattes. Paige Vest. Hi, Paige. She said, hi, regarding the Molly sweater, I was thinking that the lace pattern down the front would be great on the sleeves. Keep them loose and a bit flowy. That's a cool idea. The whole sweater is flowy, might be too much flowy. The sleeve that is in the pattern is a fitted sleeve, the one that goes down to the elbow. And I was thinking of just continuing that down to the extra long, maybe without even ribbing, just let it roll. That might be annoying though, I don't know. Yesterday, my husband asked when the next retreat would be, LOL. He had a great time at the first one and is looking forward to the next. Me too. Fine. It's going to be in January of 2025. Okay. I wish I could do a retreat every year. And someday I probably can. But at this point in my homeschooling mom life, I just can't do it every year. But every other year, I think I can totally do. But I'm not giving you any more information. But I do hope you come. Lynn McIntyre said, I have 5 summer tops in progress. I have a summer sorrel that I'm adapting to a winter jumper by adding mohair and making it long sleeved. That sounds awesome. I also have a child sweater and a blanket going. Lynn, that is awesome. Amy Spar says, hi, Devin. I don't mind the ads if they are only at the beginning of the podcast. While I appreciate you're not using them, I also think it's fair for you to get some compensation for your time and effort here. I agree with you. I prefer to get my compensation through the exchange of yarn and patterns. But if other, not all podcasters have a shop. So, in that situation, I understand. She said, regarding the gauge for the Surrey silk, Amy is a lover of the Surrey silk, as I am. She says, I'm currently knitting my second sweater, striping your Surrey with Freetown fingering. She is testing the Diggory tee, which I am wearing right now. On both, I went down a needle size for the Surrey. I think that the fluff factor makes it knit bigger stitches than I expect. I really like. So she went down a size. Okay, interesting. Because even though it's a thinner yarn, that fluff just fluffs it up so much. I really like the fresh take on your sweater pattern. Can't wait to see it finished. I always skip the setup stitches in Kitchener. Me too. I always skip them. They're probably there for a reason. I just don't care. And Amy, I know, cares. She is hardcore at being amazing. And if she skips them, that means no one needs them. Let's make a move today to just get rid of those entirely. Tina BW, oh, Amy also said, I've heard the freezer tip too. I have a friend that swears by it. So Tina BW1 says, love your positivity. If anyone is interested, Knitty Natty of Love Stitches has video on how to knit the Kitchener stitch instead of sewing it. That's interesting. I'd love to see that. Maybe we need to delve into that and the Finchley or whatever it was that the earlier commenter suggested. Maybe we need to delve into that next week. Maz10676 says, I have the Japanese book on my list on Amazon. I am Japanese with USA upbringing. I always joke with my friends that I'm a Japanese hillbilly. Long story. Did you know that the Japanese culture is very, very, very perfectionist culture? I did know that because everything they do is perfect and just like to a pinpoint detail. But she says, ugh. But I wanted the book because I'm wanting to knit curtains for my bedroom. It will not be perfection. It probably will. By the way, I'm wanting to learn more about knitting, and ads are not great when you're learning, so premium YouTube it is, and I love captions because my husband needs his sleep. Is that unique to YouTube Premium, the captions? I feel like some videos have captions and some don't, but sometimes people say that my videos have captions, which YouTube just does for me. I don't do anything to make that happen. I don't know. Okay, last comment is from Pam. Pam Knits Too. Thank you for freeing us from those horrible ads. I enjoy watching your podcast ad-free. This is the hard part. She says, I am in a knitting slump and can't seem to find my mojo. What do you do to get back your knitting mojo? And then she says, you made the Kitchener stitch look easier than I've ever seen. Thank you. The loss of knitting mojo is a real bummer. And it can happen for a lot of reasons. But for me, the best way to get back into it is to find something that you are super excited to make and make it out of yarn that you're super excited to use, because that will be exciting. Like if you're looking at projects that are really boring, that you really don't want to do, that's going to make anybody lose their mojo. So set them aside. Don't feel any guilt about setting them aside. Set them aside and go find a new cast on that really inspires you for whatever reason. The color, the yarn, the pattern, the finished object, whatever it is that really winds you up about it, get that pattern and start that. And let me know how it goes, Pam. Okay, knitting fantasies. So I went looking for patterns, and I don't know what it is. Lately, the front page of Ravelry is just not interesting to me at all. There's just a lot of really boring stuff on there, and I don't mean it to be critical. I don't know. But I went over to Etsy, and sometimes I just type in knitting patterns and see what comes up, and this came up. Oh my gosh. It is so cute. Adorable. This is the little tea room bear. I will link it below if you're interested in it. It is worked flat and seamed, which is interesting. I have knit many toys in my day, and I don't think there's any of them that I've worked entirely flat. Maybe parts of them flat. It's kind of an old school way to do it. Nowadays, we tend to do them in the round. We tend to do them in one piece. That's how I like to knit my toys, where you knit a part and anything that you add on, whether it's arms and legs or ears, you knit them on. You just pick up and knit the ears or whatever it is onto the thing. But it's kind of old school to knit it in a bunch of pieces and then sew it together. But this bear might be worth it. It is an Aran/worsted. You could probably use either one. It's a toy. And this pattern, and it's really well priced, only like $5-ish. And it comes with the trousers pattern and the scarf that the bear is wearing. So that's a pretty good deal. But if you want your bear to be a girl, you might get this dress. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Look how she put them on these little toy hangers. So, so cute. This dress is a mushroom themed dress with little mushrooms on the bottom. And it comes in fingering weight. But if you wanted a more plain dress without the, I don't know, I didn't look deeply enough into the pattern to know if the mushroom is intarsia or if there's enough mushrooms around the edge to make it stranded. But if you wanted something simpler, here is the little bear dress, also in fingering weight. It's just so cute, and this designer has other animals. I didn't write down the name of the designer. But again, I've linked it below if you are interested. She has cats, and just the way that she has styled these animals with a bed and a blanket that's not knitted but sewed. Just so cute. I love just the creativity of people and how they come up with such cute things. Okay, so here's what happened. Last week, actually, gosh, it was the day before yesterday. The day before yesterday, I sent out a newsletter. And in the newsletter, I said, I need some knitting stories. Like, this is a weekly podcast, you guys. So I have 52 knitting stories needed every year. So please send me a knitting story. And I got several. So if you sent me one and I don't read it today, I'm saving it for another day. And before I get into that, next week, I think the podcast is going to be on Saturday because we leave for our trip on Sunday. So I will work on that, getting that going. This story is from Keturah. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. And she says, my knitting story. I have one row left of a section in a shawl and I ran out of that color. All of the remaining sections are different colors. And nope, it doesn't look right if I fudge it with the next color, because that would have been what I would have suggested. Well, can you just kind of, but I don't know what the shawl looks like. She says, each section is the same depth, so shortening it one pattern repeat in the middle of things will look odd. I even asked in a Facebook knitting group if anybody had a few yards to spare. It's a popular Barocco yarn. Not a single comment or reply. So there is just no getting out of ordering a $15 skein of yarn for a single row. You know, Ravelry might be a place to look if you're on Ravelry. They have things like that where you could say, hey, I need like 5 grams of this yarn in this color. This is probably too late. You've probably already, ordered another skein. But if you haven't, check Ravelry. She says, I know we knit for the love of it all, but I've probably spent $80 for this shawl. And I only started it so that I wouldn't have a ton of yarn left over from a mitten project, which I decided not even to start because it seemed like a waste of yarn. So here I am, foiled by my own attempts. I know I'll love it, but jeepers. And then I keep wondering, as the sections get longer stitch counts, will I run out of any more colors? And then there's a series of emojis showing all the emotions. She says, I have 2 colors left, to be continued. It's a real struggle. I get it. And as a person who designs patterns, it is so hard, even when people get gauge, to tell people how much yarn to get, especially if it's close. Like when a pattern is graded and you say, for this size, you're going to need 3 skeins. That means that when the designer figured out how much yarn you need, it came up to more than 2. So it could have been 2.1, could have been 2.95. If it were 2.95, I would probably say that 3 with maybe a little bit more, but you don't exactly know. It's kind of a range, and having yarn left over can be frustrating, which is why it's good that there are free patterns out there. Things like mittens or hats, scrappy stuff is really nice to use up those scraps on. But yeah, the struggle is real. Having the right amount of yarn where you feel like I bought the right amount and I have a little left over, but not an unreasonable amount left over, and I have just enough. It's really interesting when designing patterns for the advent calendar because each day is 10 grams. You've got 10 grams of that color and that's it. It's a fun challenge. Anyway, thank you so much for your story, Keturah. If anybody else wants to send me a story, like I said, I need 52 a year to make this podcast as great as it is. So send me one, Devin at KnittyMcPurly, DEVIN. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you here next Saturday. Bye, knitters.